There seems to be no end in sight to Republican infighting, especially after Tuesday's brutal electoral beatdown of them by Democrats, with people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Vivek Ramaswamy pointing fingers at the Republican establishment. But before we unpack all that, if you haven't yet, please hit that like, subscribe, and the alert bell. I thought I was done with this particular topic because time marches on, and yet it seems like Tuesday is the gift that keeps on giving. MAGA and Republican infighting is nothing new. The party has been fractured into various schisms and factions for some time, and it seems like a new theater has opened up after what happened on Tuesday, as we've discussed in previous videos. But I want to play you some clips here, in particular a clip from Marjorie Taylor Greene, a clip from Vivek Ramaswamy, and then a clip from Ronna McDaniel, the chairwoman of the Republican National Committee, who's basically in charge of getting Republicans elected. But let's start with Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is what she has to say about why Republicans keep losing elections.
Multiple problems. One of them being that I think Republicans are weak. They never come through on the promises that they give to their voters. Stop backing away from President Trump. He's winning the primary by massive numbers. He's winning the polling for the general election. Clearly, people like President Trump and his policies. So I think there should be changes.
So she thinks the Republican Party is weak, which in many ways I won't dispute that, right, in terms of their, their philosophy, their ideology, their record of responsible governance. The Republican Party is incredibly weak. In terms of the popularity of their policies, also incredibly weak. Now, as we've discussed, they are still very dangerous. They still punch way above their weight class because they act in bad faith. They're ruthlessly authoritarian, and they do everything in their power to seize power, right? I do think it's funny that Marjorie Taylor Greene says that, people love Donald Trump's policies. Now, he's clearly leading by a healthy, disturbingly comfortable double-digit margin in the primary. It's not exactly surprising because, unfortunately, much of the Republican Party is an authoritarian cult of personality, and it's Trump's authoritarian cult. And he is, according to polling, winning in the general polls. But, a lot can change between now and a year from now, which is when, the general election would be held. But his policies? Really? What policies? He has no policies on which to campaign. He can point fingers, he can attack, he can try to expose weaknesses in the Biden administration, but he has no robust body of accomplishments, unlike Biden. He didn't build the wall. He didn't repeal and replace Obamacare. He didn't eliminate the national debt, which he swore to do. He actually contributed 25% of it in a single 4-year term. In terms of his policies and his record, Trump objectively sucks. And as we know from polling after polling after polling, if Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to talk about polling, progressive policies are generally much more popular than Republican or conservative policies. It's just simply a fact. But I digress. As you can see at the end, she believes that there should be changes, and she seems to be calling out the Republican establishment. Well, she's not alone. In Wednesday's Republican primary debate, I think it was the third one, Vivek Ramaswamy took a very combative tone, and he pointed fingers as well at the Republican base. Let's play this clip, and then Ronna McDaniel's response to it.
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer to the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. Since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, we've got Kristen Welker here, you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld?
Now, again, what he's saying is they want conservative commentators to throw them softball questions, which no doubt Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk would certainly do. But he does make it actually a pretty compelling point. Ronna McDaniel, Mitt Romney's niece, the chairwoman of the RNC, she has presided over a disturbing loss record. And I say disturbing if you're a conservative. I love it. I don't want her to go anywhere. She's terrible. She's terrible for Republicans, which is great for Democrats and great for democracy. So in response, this is what Ronna McDaniel had to say to Vivek's accusation.
At the end of the debate, run up onto the stage and address Vivek Ramaswamy directly. May we ask what you said to him?
Do you know what? That wasn't me, actually, Stuart. There must have been a look-alike. I've heard this reporting. I didn't speak to Vivek. I have not spoken to him since those comments.
My apologies.
You know, listen, he's at 4%. He needs a headline. I'm going to say what I've been saying to Republicans all along. Our headline should be about Joe Biden, the border, fentanyl, crime, terrible things that are happening in this country that the American people are looking to our party for solutions. But I also will stand by my record as RNC chair.
He said...
I don't know why you would do that. It's a terrible record, but fair enough. Again, listen, I don't want Ronna McDaniel to go anywhere. As long as Ronna McDaniel is in charge of, presiding over the campaigns of Republicans running for office, probabilistically speaking, they are less likely to win. So I think it's great. But again, I will say to her point, and again, I say this as a proud progressive Democrat, in many ways, Republicans have been or should have been able to exploit beneficial political headwinds. It is true that, again, this is nothing new. This is not a fluke. If you look at poll after poll after poll, people are dissatisfied with much of the country and the direction of the country at the moment. Now, I don't blame President Biden for that. Take immigration. She mentioned immigration. As we've discussed in previous videos, President Biden's immigration policies, the manpower, the resources, all these things are virtually identical under Biden than they were under Trump. Like, there's not any meaningful difference other than the repeal of Title 42, but Title 42 was enforced by the Biden administration until it was repealed by the courts. And if anything, President Biden has arguably been more humane in terms of his treatment of people at the southern border. He got a commitment of $1 billion from Mexico for border security, which is $1 billion more than Donald Trump ever got. He got commitment from South American countries to increase the number of asylum seekers that they would take themselves so that we would have fewer asylum seekers heading into the United States. So he's doing his level best within the legislation that Congress provides. Comprehensive immigration reform is something that Congress has to take care of, not just Democrats in Congress, but Congress as a whole. And they failed for administration after administration after administration. But the bottom line is, you would think that cunning, bad faith authoritarians like the Republican Party would be able to exploit that for their benefit. And they really haven't been. They're great at making waves in the media. They're great at pointing fingers. But in terms of manifesting these in material electoral outcomes, they have failed dramatically. So I disagree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I disagree with Vivek Ramaswamy. I think Ronna McDaniel is great, and I hope she continues on as the Republican National Committee chairwoman. You all let me know what you think in the comments about this latest salvo of Republican infighting and where you think it'll go from here.